Hi, my apologies. I am a PowerPoint Luddite, so these slides have nothing to do with what I'm going to say, except that they're pictures of radio stations that we've built. I'm from the Prometheus radio project. Our group spends about half of our time trying to change the rules of broadcasting so that just about any small environmental group, farm workers organization, neighborhood organization can start a radio station. And the other half of our time we spend trying to demystify the technology and walk people through the process of getting a radio license. The way we started this, back in 1996, I was an activist. I lived in a group house full of activists that worked on housing, on AIDS, on environmental issues. And we had this classic case of activist low expectations. We just would go out there and try and make our points, and we would always lose again and again and again. And finally we were like, why are we losing? Because the media is owned by the very people that we're fighting against. Whether it's the war machine with General Electric owning, being an enormous military contractor and making billions of dollars off the war, and any issue that we worked on. And so finally we started our own pirate radio station. Somehow, after 9 months of tinkering around with it, we blew up a whole bunch of transmitters, and then all of a sudden one of them worked, and all of a sudden we had 70 DJs, and all of a sudden there was programming 7 nights a week, and then all of a sudden the FCC came and kicked down the door and took it away. And but then something really weird happened, which was that in our act of civil disobedience, in our act of defiance of the rules, strangely enough, the chairman of the FCC changed his mind and said, well, I'm going to keep on kicking down your door and taking away the radio station, but before I leave office, I'm going to make sure that there is a way to legitimately apply for a community radio license. And we thought he was full of shit. But we started the Prometheus radio project to try to hold him to his word, and then, strangely enough, he did it. And all of a sudden, there were all these radio licenses. So what we do is we go around and we try to work with any group that wants to start a radio station, wants a tiny little slice of the media, and we try to demystify the technology and spend the time and make sure that they know how to run a radio station. So we've done that all over the country and starting to all over the world. There's 11 of what we've called the radio barn racings, which is when we start on Friday with all the equipment in the boxes, and we just sort of take it out and we start putting it together and wiring it all up. And we've got 2 great barn raising people with us today, Josh Marcus and Dave Arney, back up there. And then by Sunday night, it all has to work somehow. And not only does it all have to work, but in fact, the people from that community have to know how to keep it working, because actually, we're taking off and we're gone. So we do our very best to make sure that the people that already know how to do this are not really the ones that are doing it. And they learn to teach the skills and transfer that knowledge. The rest of the time we spend trying to change the laws around radio, because as much as it's kind of fun to work with the technology, no technology today lives outside the context of the government that regulates it. And so even though people thought that about the internet for a while, slowly people realized, the internet is regulated. It's just regulated under common carrier, which is just what most people think is common sense, but all of a sudden is under attack right now in the face of net neutrality. So what we try to do is we try to make sure that there's Josh. What we try to do is we try to make sure that the rules that all media play by are the very fairest rules that we can manage to get. And so we spend a lot of time in really scary places like Washington, D.C., and just talking to these decision makers and trying to make it so that these little radio stations that we work with are treated fairly. And oh gosh, that's us in Washington, D.C., the most wretched place in the world. But sometimes you've got to sort of change up your tactics in Washington, D.C., because you can't be too predictable. And those cheerleader uniforms for the FCC came from Kristen Thompson, who from the Future of Music Coalition, that was here today. So. That's about it. I'll just give you one more piece of advice. If you ever have to lobby, and you want to, you want to fit in Washington, you want to get along with everyone, but you want to let them know what you think, I recommend the cockroach tie from the Insectarium. And I'll leave it at that.